Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me just see that everybody can hear me okay. Can I see some reacts, some thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay. All right, we're good. So it's been a long time since I've done a spaces, and I really should do them more often. But the truth is, not really my thing. So I've made a special exception here because several of my mentees have asked questions about diet specifically, and it's a long spiel. It's not an answer that I can just quickly dish out. So for a lot of them, they're listening to this now as a recording. They're able to play it back. So this is for you. Now, when it comes to diet, we've called this Treatise on Diet. A treatise is a written work, but I just really like that word. We're going to use it for this. So I want to begin. It's a long-winded thing. We're going to be talking about diet, but we're not going to be talking about diet until we've got a whole bunch of other stuff out of the way. This is not something that you've likely heard before. This is not something that you can find somewhere else. This isn't about what to eat entirely. So I want to begin by talking about dogmatic belief. All right? A lot of people are just very quick to have extremely strong opinions about diet, right? Diet is something that's very polarizing. There's not somebody who is a proponent of a particular diet who just has, kind of in the middle or mild opinions, all right? It's always highly charged. Everybody that champions a particular diet swears their life, that it is the most correct and the ultimate diet, and that everybody else who isn't eating that way is an idiot, okay? You've seen them. You know people like this. So immediately 2 comments there, okay? Number 1, everybody is different, and every body is different, literally. So we're all going to respond to things slightly differently because of our particular genetics, and specifically the way that our gut microbiome has been shaped by literally thousands of your ancestors, okay? We're living in the most global food market to have ever existed at any time in mankind's story, period. And that's it. So perhaps, 500 ancestors ago, they only ate what was regional. Bro, like a couple hundred years ago, a pineapple was so rare in Britain that they used to buy it for like £1,000 and put it on the mantelpiece. People come over, they go, oh, what's that? Oh, this is a pineapple. Okay, it was a rare, exotic thing. That was literally the world. So imagine how people's bodies genetically responded to different food, okay? It wasn't like the situation we are in now. So everybody's different. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I want you to not trust anything that I say here. I want you to actually disbelieve all of it. All right? I want you to, well, Robert Anton Wilson said that belief is the death of intelligence. I'll repeat that. Belief is the death of intelligence. Okay? If you're just quickly believing something, that's very different from knowing something. You don't know what I'm about to tell you, but you believe it's probably really good information, right? Because you actually don't know, you believe. So there's a difference there. Belief is the death of intelligence. Anytime you are believing something, it means that you're not actually looking at the raw materials, evaluating them individually, and then coming to your own intelligent conclusion. All right, so with this, that being said, I want to ask you that you suspend your judgment and you listen with an open mind, and you don't allow any previous beliefs to interfere with the following transmission of these ideas that you're about to hear. Okay? Diet is so polarizing. People right now listening to this, they have their own little diet. They say it's the best in the world and everyone else is an idiot for not following it. Okay. All right. Next, after you have heard and used your intellect to process the following information, I want you to be a scientist. I want you to evaluate logically, not ideologically. And I want you to test it out yourself. I want you to fuck around and find out. I want you to hypothesize, test, experiment, then analyze the results, and then iterate and reiterate. And yeah, just hear me out. Suspend your judgment until the end, and then test it yourself, okay? Good. So, before we get to the actual food, I want to explain to you something that is just an idea that how I look at things. And I place damn near everything on this scale, okay? So, if you've ever kept a fish tank before, you ever had goldfish, whatever, okay, you've had to measure and adjust the pH scale, right? You've got to like literally get the water, have it react with the solution, and then it gives you a color. And it tells you if it's acidic, if it's neutral, or it's alkaline. And then, you use additional solutions to make it go up or down. So the environment is good for the fish, okay? So on the acidic alkaline scale, 0 is acidic, 7 is neutral, and 14 is alkaline. Absolutely everything can be placed on this scale. Everything, all right? So I'm going to illustrate that point in just a little bit with drugs, with sex, and with hair, okay? Bit of like weird topics, like why drugs, sex, and hair? Because they're kind of weird topics, and I'm going to show you how it applies to everything. All right, now we need to discuss the chakras because it's actually a really good analogy. They're a good analogy for a lot of things. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the chakras, don't worry, I'm going to explain this in such a way that even if you don't know anything about them, you'll kind of get what I'm speaking about. And those who have got some cursory knowledge on chakras, those who have watched even Avatar: The Last Airbender, you're going to be more primed to understand what I'm talking about, okay? So there are 7 chakras. Chakras are the spiritual, energetic centers that exist in your body, okay? The very first chakra is the root chakra, and it's located at the bottom of the spine. The root chakra is absolute instinct. It is the lizard reptile mind energetically. It is absolute earth. It is carnality. It is Malkuth on the Kabbalistic tree of life. Okay? So the root chakra, the base of the spine, that is the first chakra. Above that, the next 2 chakras, and remember you have 7 total, are the sacral and the solar plexus chakras. Okay, we're not going to go into that now, but those are the first 3. Root, sacral, solar plexus. Now, those 3 first chakras are related to physical existence and things that happen on the earth and life and mortality. Okay? So those are the first three related to physical existence. The last three, remember there's 7 total, but the top 3 are related to spiritual awareness. Okay, and the very last chakra is the crown chakra, which is located at the top of your head. This is the polar opposite of your root chakra. The root chakra deals with absolute, cosmic, transcendent connection. It's where your individual awareness connects to infinite existence, right? It's Keter in the Kabbalistic tree of life. And by the way, Keter means, like, literally means crown. So if you've seen Avatar, you've seen where he connects to his crown chakra, right? He opens it, and then he's able to connect to his, like, actual higher self. We're not going to get into that now, but just to illustrate the point, if you've seen it, okay? So if the lowest chakra is the root chakra, which is absolute earth, then the highest chakra is the crown chakra, which, you know, it's absolute transcendent dimensions. Some people call that heaven, or, you know, the heavens, okay? But in the middle, okay, you got the 3 lower representing physical existence, the 3 higher, which represent spiritual awareness. But in the middle is us, in between absolute earth and absolute heaven, in between body and soul, in between root and crown, is where we exist, in the middle, in the heart chakra. Okay? So that's enough of that. I just wanted to introduce you briefly the concept that everything can be placed on this scale of acidity and alkalinity. Okay? So again, 0 is acidic, 7 is neutral, 14 is alkaline. Just in that exact same way, 0 is root chakra, 7 is heart chakra, 14 is crown chakra. Okay. So I said I wanted to illustrate this with drugs, sex, and hair. So let me go ahead and break that down, okay? As it pertains to drugs, 0 is alcohol, all right? Alcohol reduces you to absolute carnality. You become more animal body, all right? Many people are aware of, you know, this is getting much more common knowledge. Al-Kul, the Arabic word where we get alcohol, means body devouring spirit. Okay, we interact with a lot of spirits and blah, 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 right? A lot of people like to say that alcohol possesses you, or at least opens you up to possession, because it's taking away your spirit and it just leaves you to be pure body. Okay, this is 0. This is alcohol, ranks at 0, pure acidic. Now, before I continue, I just want to make a point. Just because the 3 lower chakras are lower, that does not mean that they are beneath. They're very necessary. They are integral to your existence. All right? They should not be demonized. Doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm just saying there's a part of us that deals with absolute earth, and there's a part of us that deals with absolute heaven. Okay? So alcohol ranks 0. Acidic. All right? 7 is being sober. It's taking nothing. Whereas 14, absolute alkalinity, is LSD, which is something that blasts your awareness and your perception toward absolute spirit. Okay? Ketamine would rank there as well. All right, what about sex? 0, pure acidic, is being a reckless hedonist. It's just fucking everything in sight. Fun fact, once you've developed some spiritual awareness around chakras, and that's not an easy thing. That's not like, oh, I know chakras now. It's a big thing, all right? But once you have, you can identify where people have blocks, but just by observing. I have a mentor who I'll be sat with them, and we'll literally, be watching, and then they'll tell me, yo, see that person? Complete root chakra existence. I go, really? They go, yeah, have a look. And, some people, they have this block, they have it tainted, and they're just very yucky people sexually, okay? And you can feel that. So 0, pure acidity, is being a reckless hedonist, just fucking everything in sight indiscriminately, okay? 7 is only having sex in a monogamous context. It may be perhaps even a loving relationship, could be like 8 or 9, right? Whereas 14 is celibacy. I hope it's starting to make sense. You're seeing now the scale and how literally anything can be put onto it, okay? Finally, hair. 0 is shaving your head bald. 7 is having just, regular, normal hair length. And 14 is having long hair. Now, we can talk about how, hair has to do with identity and, when you get rid of it, you become more disciplined. If you look at the army, if you look at monks, all right, they all shave their hair. Girls, when they go through a particularly traumatic breakup, they shave their hair to release the stored emotional energy that's kept there, right? And there's a lot of talk about having long hair enhancing somebody's intuition and spirituality, and it's commonly a thing, right? You picture a spiritual person that typically have longer hair. So that's how that works. So literally anything can be categorized like this. Anything can be placed on the scale of carnality and spirituality, between earthly and transcendent. Okay, now again, I want to reiterate, just because something ranks acidic does not mean that it's awful. Okay, just because something ranks alkaline does not automatically mean it's better. Everything can be useful. Everything has its place and its context. Right? It's very context dependent. Now, when it comes to diet, even the amount of times that you're eating can be placed on the acidic alkaline earth heaven scale. Okay, try and guess this. 0 is stuffing your face full without thought, just eating everything without, indiscriminately stuffing your face. 7 in the middle, neutral, is eating 3 meals a day. And 14, right, absolute alkalinity, is fasting. If you do these things, let's just have a look at the things I mentioned above. Not necessarily, I didn't mean for them to correlate in this particular way, but what did I say? I said hair, I said sex, and I said drugs. Have long hair, be celibate, and fast. I guarantee you're very quickly going to get in touch with your spirit, even without any kind of drugs at all. You just meditate and fast during celibacy. It's potent. That's literally the point of monks. That's why they do that. Okay, moving forward. So things that rank acidic, they pull you closer to the earth. They pull you closer to the body. And things that rank alkaline pull you up toward the great skies above. All right? They're closer to your spirit. Now, most people who eat a particular diet, they're going to tell you how amazing their doctrine is and why it's better than all the rest, and you have to follow it or else, you're stupid. But let me tell you now, I've tested my diet extensively. All right, you have to test things. Test. Be a scientist. Test and experiment. I have tested just about every way there is to specialize your food intake. Okay, I've tried paleo, keto, carnivore, vegetarian, IIFYM, pescatarian, fruitarian, Mediterranean, Atkins, carb cycling. You name it, I've tried it. Okay, because until you actually try it, your opinion is just the opinion of somebody else's. You don't have direct experience with it. You don't know how it's going to uniquely interact with your own set of genetics. So until you actually do that, you have no idea how your body responds, right? But forget all that. I have come to a conclusion on which one is best. Now, before I tell you which diet is superior to all the others, the first thing I want you to look at is your current shape. Okay, what is your body composition? Are you fat? Are you skinny? Do you need to focus on gaining weight, gaining muscle, losing weight? Or are you at your relative ideal? Okay, I genuinely believe there's like a blueprint that you were born with where it's like your ideal Uh, there's a thing that your body produces called myostatin, and it literally inhibits the amount of muscle that you can pack onto your frame so that you don't just end up stupidly jacked for no reason. So you actually have to kind of work hard so that any muscle you accumulate has actually been justified through physical effort, right? You know those Belgian blue cows that are just like ridiculously muscled? Those are genetically engineered to reduce myostatin. So there's an ideal that your body wants to be in terms of fat level and in terms of musculature. Once you've kind of got there, you've got free reign. But for a lot of you listening right now, some of you are fat fucks, some of you are skinny twix. Okay, I would address that and really put that first as a consideration before moving on to what I'm going to tell you just a little bit later. All right. So if you know me, you know I am a huge proponent of fasting, and I've written extensively about it. If you want to know more, go to my profile, search just fasting, fast. You'll see endless, okay? I have been asked, believe it or not, how do you fit in fasting regularly with bulking and trying to put on muscle? And my response is, it's a smart ass response because it's a dumb question. My response is, being in a caloric deficit is not an effective weight gain strategy. Okay, it's not. So I recommend fasting. I recommend fasting once a week at least, right? But if you're trying to actually seriously put on weight, put on muscle, obviously that does not apply to you. So think about what is going to be most effective for your specific goal. That's how I want you to think about things. Good and bad, they only really mean something when there's a criteria to measure them up against. Okay, so like what's a good diet, what's a bad diet? It depends how you score it. Because somebody scoring good and bad based on nutrition, right? They're going to say, oh, that's a good diet, that's a bad diet. And then you've got somebody else who can score a diet good and bad based on taste. So the criteria defines what's meeting the goal there, right? So the thing we should be measuring is it getting us closer or further away from our goals and from our intent? Which brings us back to the acidity alkaline scale. So I'm here to tell you that the number one best diet, drum roll please, is the diet that gives you the energy that you want more of in life. Okay, so what does that mean? When we think of energetic temperament and how you are, right? Well, it's going to change. It's going to evolve. You'll go through different stages, different phases of your life where a different energy is best suited, a different temperament is best suited toward whatever particular phase of life you might be in, right? And the number one way to shift the energy that you feel is to change it at the cellular level. So you've heard this all throughout your life. You are what you eat. Literally. The food that you consume is broken down and becomes the ventricles in your heart, the follicles in your hair, the platelets in your skin. It's not coming out of just nowhere. It's not just being generated out of thin air. You are literally what you eat. Okay. So, on the acidic alkaline scale, 0 is root chakra. It's carnality. It's earth. All right. The diet equivalent of 0 is a strict carnivore diet. 7 is a balanced diet. And 14, crown chakra, heaven, is a strict raw vegan diet. Okay, and the respective energies that they lend you, if you are on strict carnivore, you will feel like a bloodthirsty warrior. If you adhere to a strict raw vegan diet, you will feel like a serene, blissful monk. Okay, now those are just the extremes. Both are just stupidly, annoyingly inconvenient. And yeah, just very tedious to structure your life around. Now, remember, I want you to be a scientist. I want you to test and experiment. I don't want you to reactively conform to whatever dogmatic beliefs you've been presented in the past. Okay? For many of you listening right now, you had a reflex, a disgust response when I said vegan. All right? Now, unless you have direct experience with it, every emotion that came up, every feeling, every thought is most likely a projection, is most likely just an assumption, or the most likely is just somebody else's opinion. Okay? Now, understanding that, let me tell you a little bit when I was vegetarian. I did it for quite some months, okay? Because anything you want to test, you have to test extensively to where you're really in the thick of it and you can really feel it. All right? You have to do it, you have to commit to really see anything through substantially to where you can comment intelligently, right? So I went for quite some months vegetarian without cheating a single time, all right? Strict 100% success. So the reason I did that, I had no other goal in mind other than to just observe the energetic changes that developed as a result of eating that way, right? I didn't want to just trust somebody's opinion on it. I said, let me test, let me experiment, let me be a scientist, and let me actually see what it does to my body. So, what happened? Well, during this period, my vibration was extremely high. Extremely. It was so easy to be filled with peace, with joy, with love. And believe it or not, I basically had zero negative emotions at all. Looking back, it was pretty unbelievable. I did not feel a bit of sadness. I did not feel a bit of anger. Nothing. It was just serene, right? But at the same time, my sex drive became non-existent. And in fact, my drive to do virtually anything vanished because I was just so content in every moment. I was running off of pure just discipline in order to do things, get things done, because I did not have fire. I did not have that, you know what I'm talking about. All right. It just was not alive in me. And, you know, motivation, it's a funny thing because motivation is proportional to the degree that you want to change your situation. So whether that's driven by running away from a pain or running towards pleasure, the stronger that emotion is, the more motivated somebody is. Okay, that's how it works. It is directly proportional to the degree that they want to change their circumstance, for good or bad, right? So the problem was I was so damn peaceful that I honestly didn't feel like I needed anything at all. Now, I am intellectually honest enough to admit that, you know, I acknowledge it may just be what I just told you, a reflection of my own personal limitations, okay? But if you think about it, it does make a lot of sense why Buddhist monks, for example, adhere to a strict vegetarian diet, okay? They don't eat meat. So it's very easy to stay in that vibrational state. Now, on the flip side, because remember, we're not just blindly following dogma. We're not we're not jumping in the cool, which tribe is the coolest for diet. I have also tested carnivore diet for months. And by the way, it's just so boring. I can't with it. It is just, you get sick. It's like, oh, what am I eating again? More meat. It's just, yeah. But energetically speaking, it produced the exact opposite of what I just described with a vegetarian diet. Okay? I had, like, I'll tell you the story, all right? I was vegetarian for months, and a beloved friend of mine said, Ruby, you know, I really think it would be a good idea if you just went and you had a little bit of beef tartare, okay, which, by the way, if you're going to have raw meat, only do it like that in sashimi, okay? Don't listen to these health influencers eating just straight raw ground beef. Don't do that. But they were pushing me. They said, Ruby, please, just go have a little bit of beef tartare. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I found it a little bit insulting. A little bit. Because one, I didn't want to give myself an excuse to cut my experiment early. Even though I'd already been multiple months in this, I wanted to run it a little bit longer, and I felt like if I were to listen to my friend's advice here, it would feel like I'm being a bitch, and it's just a cop-out. I go, oh, well, you said I should eat meat. So I didn't like that. I'm really tough on myself that way. And at the same time, I had really considered the words of, who was it? I can't remember at this present moment. It was either Aristotle or somebody, a contemporary of his, who said, that the vegetarian diet is the diet of the philosopher, basically. The diet of the man with an intellect. Because he goes, the desire to eat meat is just as, fueled by the senses as walking down the street and, wanting to just commit all kinds of crime or rape or whatever. I'm being dramatic here, but basically the point was it's being fueled out of an emotional me want, and not actually using your mind, which is the antithesis of what it meant to be a philosopher back then. Okay, so it's like the civilized man, the man of intellect, the man of thinking can reason his way that he should not go and just kill another animal to eat it. So I had all these ideas because I was playing with them. I was genuinely in it, swimming it, trying on that hat, and seeing what effects it produced. Okay, I'm an absolute scientist when it comes to this. So eventually I say, you know what? I love my friend very much, and I trust their judgment. So, okay, fine, whatever. I'll go and I'll have beef tartare. So I went to a really nice restaurant I know that makes everything organic, very good, high quality. And I order a beef tartare. And immediately, as soon as I took a bite, it awoke something again. The little spiral of libido, I could feel it rising in my body. Now, understand, a lot of this is just placebo. A lot of that is just mental expectation. All right? I want you to, let's be intellectually honest here. All right? There is a law of mental expectancy that is in play whenever you anticipate anything. Okay? Anything that predisposes your mind to perceive and react to things in a certain way, right? Mental expectancy. I expected that when I ate the meat, it would bring back all the things that I associate with meat straight away into my body again, okay? I had the expectation that when I ate it again, I would feel more physical vigor. I would feel more aggressive. I would feel angry, perhaps. I would feel more sexual, etc., right? Let's be honest, that was in play. But acknowledging that, I still do feel that truly, on a physical level, it brought back all these other things that I've just mentioned before that I associate with meat eating. Okay, so what happens when you're in carnivore? Carnivore is great if you want to do martial arts and if you want to be like a fucking ruthless, literally bloodthirsty conqueror. Like, you want to work on your business, you want to get really aggressive, you want to make fast change, go pure meat. It does something because it can't not. You are what you eat. It's literally who you are at a cellular level. It's becoming your whole body, right? So again, looking back at the acidic alkaline scale, 0 is, pure meat. 14 is pure fruits and vegetables. Okay, so the ultimate diet then, what is it? This is defined by ask yourself, what energy do I want? And then eat to it. Okay, so rather than following, I'm eating like this, I'm eating like that, I'm eating like this, ask yourself, do I want more acidity or do I want more alkalinity? All right, that is how you should choose your food choices. Remember, I said aside from body composition, okay, if you're going to want to get in good shape before you really dive deep on this, right? But you'll get in great shape anyway if you follow this. But just keep that in mind as a primary thing to consider, okay? But ask yourself, what energy do I want right now? Do I want to become more of a warrior or do I want to become more of a monk? If the answer is warrior, slightly adjust your diet or maybe adjust it a lot, depending on your energetic goal, to include more meats and animals, okay? And if you want to be more serene, more peaceful, more bliss, then you do the opposite and you add more vegetables and you go closer and you go less meat. All right. Now, still, a lot of people listening to this, you've been so programmed to hear meat and associate it with masculinity, and hear vegan and associate it with, you know, these like this soy boy, skinny little twinks. Get that out of your head. Just look at the energy. Ask yourself, what energy do I want to embody? And then lean toward that side and adjust it. Now, I've been talking about the extremes. I'm talking about 0 and 14. I told you both of these are extremely inconvenient and annoying to structure your life around. Those are probably not ideal for what you want any old way. In fact, most of you, maybe you just want to be like 5. Maybe you want to be, 12. Whatever it may be, I want you to think about this intelligently and then add or subtract meat or vegetables as you deem fit. Okay. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the ideal diet. That is what's going to work best for you. And you know what? Most of the time, you're going to want to have a balance. You're going to want to be somewhere, maybe not 7, but some days 6 and some days 8 and some days 5 and some days 9. All right? It's not that dramatic. But the point here is to be aware of the energetic effects of what you're eating so that you can make informed choices, so that you can be intelligent in choosing what you eat. All right? Now, I will tell you that in physiognomy, some people need more meat than others. Okay, some people, their body, remember how we talked about ancestry and all this? Some people's bodies respond better to meat than others. And I'll tell you how you can tell. It's very simple. You look at the fangs, right? The technical word for them are incisors. They're your teeth that are like the vampire teeth, the pointy ones, right? The more pointy those teeth on you, the more your body needs meat. Okay, and I say needs very much on purpose. Needs meat. If you listen to completely dogmatic, brainwashed vegetarians and vegans, they'll tell you that if you eat meat, you'll develop colon cancer and you'll die. Like, no, get that out of your head. That's not the case. All right, and I do want to talk about meat, and I do want to talk about the karmic consequence of eating foods. Okay, I've mentioned this in previous tweets that if ascending in vibration is your goal, eating vegetarian is going to make it probably twice or 3 times faster. All right, meat does bring your vibration lower. Why? Because it is acidic. All right, because it does go to 0 rather than 14. All right, that is the actual effect that it has. It brings you back down to earth. It makes, remember how I said like warriors are obsessed with carnality, with physicality, with matters on the earth, right? As opposed to monks up at 14 who are concerned with spiritual matters, ascension, transcending desire altogether. Okay? Now, when you eat meat, and this goes for all animals. It goes for cows, milk. It goes for chickens, eggs. You want to make sure that you're getting the absolute best source possible. All right. There's a lot of tricks around the labeling. Just do your best. Okay. Some people will say free range. It's not really free range. Some meat will say grass fed. It's actually just, a gimmick. Just do the best you can. Now, I do want you to acknowledge that when you have an animal and the way its life ended was very traumatic and very violent and pharmaceutical and industrial and robotic and completely devoid of any kind of human loving touch, it does make a big difference. It makes a huge difference. You can taste it if you're energetically sensitive enough. I know that sounds weird, but it's absolutely a thing. Okay, so if possible, you get animal products that are done humanely. All the above, because you don't want to taste the suffering and you don't want to taste the anguish and the despair and the pain. Right? You want a fast death, natural death, if possible, etc., etc. Right? Now, like I said, dogmatic vegetarians are going to tell you that eating meat is completely bad altogether. No one should eat meat because it's going to give you cancer or whatever. Bullshit. All right. Now, let's look at a few different perspectives here regarding meat. If there are some places in the world where vegetation is so scarce a resource that they actually cannot feed the population on it and they have to rely on animals. Okay, so I asked my mentor about this. I said, what do you think about, the energetic consequences of eating meat and should we be eating vegetarian spiritually? And my mentor said, not really, because, if you look at the Tibetans, for example, which are home to some of the most spiritually ascended people on earth, nothing grows there. Have a look at Tibet. You can't grow things there. Okay, so the main source of food is actually like yak, it's bison. And that's their primary diet. Okay, that does not make them any less. It does not diminish their spiritual pursuits in any way, shape, or form. But they're very conscious people. They're very aware people. So even the way that they would cultivate cattle is going to be with, a far higher perspective than that of your just general industrial farm where they go through, like shredders and stuff like that. Okay, so it's very conscious. Back to the, it's not physically good. Well, if you look at people like, and again, I learned this from my mentor, the Maasai tribe, they don't eat anything except for meat. they go hunting, in Africa, they throw a spear, they get their kill, they tear it apart, they cook it over the fire, right? They're not dying of colon cancer. Okay, so, it's bullshit. It's literally just propaganda. All right? And I will mention this. There is an elite push, or at least an attempted sway by the elite, to push people off of meat and onto vegetarian. Okay, so the intelligent among you can already work that out. Why? Okay, because it's going to make you more pacifist. It's going to make you more, docile, less angry. It's going to make you less likely to fight. All right. If you are a martial artist, if you practice any kind of combat sport whatsoever, try this. Go strict carnivore for 6 weeks, and I guarantee you start hitting twice as hard. Because it is who you are at a cellular level. You move toward acidity. You move toward physicality, carnality, mortality. All right? Now, again, back to the point of conscious meat consumption. There is a way to do it correctly. So you try and get the best source possible. You try and get grass-fed and finished. You try and get free range, etc., etc. And also for just the quality of the meat, you try and get that as best you can. And then, again, asking my mentor about this, I said, how can it be? You know, because I've felt the difference between carnivore and vegetarian, and even being in the middle and leaning toward a side, I can feel such a difference on meat. And they said, well, take a look at the Navajo. They eat meat. They are some of the most connected to nature people on the planet, right? They lived in absolute harmony with spirits, with animals, with the forces of nature itself, okay? And they were eating meat. So how were they doing it? And what perspective did they have? Well, it's actually a really beautiful one. They saw the animal that they hunted as its destiny was intertwined with their own. And that it's actually a great honor for this animal to die so that it can sustain you and your family and your community. It's actually a great privilege. Like, oh my gosh, this animal, you know, it did not have a death through some tragic, you know, fate. It instead went to something that's very meaningful, very purposeful, and very much appreciated. So I'm sure you can even think of maybe you're getting some images in your mind now of, you know, Navajo Indians tracking down these animals, following them, and then, you know, saying like, I'm sorry, old friend. Thank you for your sacrifice. Right? Kind of thing. You can kind of see that, right? So it makes sense. And I like to do that. So before I eat any kind of animal, I do, and I highly recommend you do this too, I do take a moment to pray over it and specifically acknowledge and be grateful for the animal whose flesh I'm consuming, whose life ended to support mine. Okay, when you think about it, you're receiving a tremendous gift there, right? It's actually something very, very special. So that is the way I would encourage you when you are eating meat. And I will not tell you not to eat meat, but it makes your frequency, it really affects your frequency. And if your goal is to raise that, less meat is going to be more conducive to that. When you do eat meat, do it consciously with the best source possible, with a genuine in your heart, not just saying the words, but a genuine appreciation and thankfulness of the sacrifice made by that animal. Okay? Because it's straight for you. So that's meat. Finally, I want to talk about libido. I want to talk about sex drive. Okay? Like I mentioned, when I was vegetarian, it was just, okay? Libido just went out the door. Maybe that's just me. Maybe your libido will be fine. Okay? I acknowledge that there may be room for personal genetic differences. Okay? Usually I'm pretty good in that area, but on vegetarian, it just plummeted. Right? Now, there is something you can do about it, which I did not test during this vegetarian experiment that I did, specifically because I did not want it to interfere. I wanted to have as close to a pure control, no, wild card variables in my experiment as possible. So there is a specific way that you can raise your libido. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is through two things: garlic and onion. Now, garlic is just, it's phenomenal. Okay, I love, anytime you feel that itch of getting sick, go get garlic. Go eat garlic. My mentor recommends that, when you're feeling that kind of thing, go grab 5 cloves, 5 large cloves, chop them up nicely, eat them, and then quickly flush and drink lots of water to just spread it. Drink lots of water afterwards. What this does, according to the words of my mentor, is the frequency of garlic is so high such that any kind of inappropriate bacteria, virus, whatever it might be that's plaguing you, it just doesn't like it. It just dies. It goes, oh, garlic, and it just like rolls over and dies. Okay, garlic is superpower. You may have garlic breath, but hey, I would rather have a stinky breath than be sick. I don't know about you. That's just me. Garlic, while it's great for your immune system and really good for your energy, I mean like physical vitality energy, it will make you more aggressive. Okay, when I got sick like a few weeks back, and I was just piling on the garlic, and I became snappy. I became like, Rrr! And I was like, geez, there must be the garlic. All right, watch out for that. Okay, onion. I remember watching I think it was a tweet by Tate. He said that, you know, when he was fighting, his trainer used to feed him raw onions. They used to all the fighters used to eat raw onions after training, like several of them. And he thought it was a joke. He thought it was like some kind of, you know, rite of passage. Oh, I get it. They're trolling me. No. Not a troll. If you eat raw onions, your testosterone will spike. Okay? You can test this. I've tested it. I've just had a normal balanced diet and just changed nothing except for eating raw onions, just 2 a day. And you will feel it. You will feel it 100%. But I do warn you. Garlic and onion in some religious traditions are forbidden to be consumed by the priesthood, by the monks, because of what it does to their libido. And remember what I said. There's no such thing as a good or bad diet. There's only a diet that is getting you closer or further away to your goal. Now, one of the goals for a monk or a priest is to remain celibate. So agitating the sexual appetite is not something that they want to do. Okay, it is not within their list of goals. Therefore, eating garlic and onion is not good for them. It might be good for you. If you want to raise your sex drive, eat raw onion, eat raw garlic. But I'm telling you, when I tested raw onion, raw garlic every day, I became obnoxious. You will become extremely sexual. And for many of you, some of you need that. Some of you, maybe if you've got Italian blood, you absolutely do not need that. All right? Again, evaluate, say, what energy do I want to be in, and then eat according to that. All right? There is no good or bad. There is just closer and further away to the goal, to your intent. So if it's conducive, I highly recommend you try it. I mean, just to even see what it's like, so that you know that that's there and you know how your body responds to it if you ever want to engage in that in the future. All right? 5 garlic cloves per day, 2 raw onions. And look, you don't have to torture yourself. You don't have to eat it like an apple. All right? What I find, onion actually becomes delicious when you chop it up, you put it on a plate, bit of black pepper, and then squeeze lime over it. When you squeeze lime over the onion, it actually becomes delicious. It actually becomes really just tasty and palatable, rather than, you know, being a masochist and making yourself just, no. You don't need to eat raw onion and make it gross. You can actually do it in a way that's nice. And I guarantee you that's the only way you're going to get it consistently over multiple days basis. Otherwise, you're going to go, not more raw onion, right? So again, you chop it up, black pepper, and squeeze just a ton of lime over it, and it becomes delicious. And watch what it does to your libido, okay? Some people, they have like a medical condition where they just don't have sex drive. It's just not there. It's like a low testosterone thing. Well, onions will not only bring up the testosterone, they will also specifically activate the libido independent of its effect on testosterone. Okay, they go side by side, but it actually works on both. Does that make sense? All right. Finally, I do want to make 2 final recommendations, and that is of lowering inflammation, which is always going to be a good thing. All right. First one is blueberries, and the second one is, I hate how you guys pronounce it, turmeric. I call it turmeric, Turmeric. Now, when you take turmeric, you want to take it with black pepper because the bioperin, it activates blah, 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 blah. It makes it more absorbed in your body, right? It is one of the best anti-inflammatories you can possibly take. Some people don't like the taste of it. Cool, just get it in capsule form. Nothing wrong with that. When you take turmeric, when you take blueberries, you will literally feel your body recovering, like in real time. You will literally feel it. Because anytime you get sick, anytime you feel sore, it's actually most likely that it's just inflammation. So you take this, it directly impacts it. And by directly impacting the inflammation, your sleep becomes better. Because you're healing during the day, you're requiring less of your body to heal at night. So your deep becomes sleeper, you have better dreams, you can heal on other parts of your body, etc., etc. Okay? One last thing, I'm going to talk about fasting really quick. Not the benefits, not the amazing things to be found within that. I have tweeted about this extensively. Go to my profile, click my profile, top right corner, search bar, put in fasting. Okay, there's plenty of information for you there. But I will just recommend a routine. I like to, once a month, during the full moon, incorporate a 3-day fast. That means no food, just water. And perhaps some salt if you feel a little bit dizzy. Okay? Why on a full moon? Well, it's unfortunate, but the case is that everybody has parasites within them. And particularly during a full moon, they become very active because of the increased levels of serotonin around the body. They use that to move and to lay eggs and to reproduce. So by fasting over the full moon, 3 days, okay, the day before, the day of, the day after, you're actually stopping the parasites. You're kind of ruining their plans. You're throwing a wrench in the works, as the saying goes. So it's just a really easy way to incorporate discipline, to incorporate regularity. All right, fasting is so beneficial for your health. It's not even funny. It is probably the number one tool you have to repair and heal your body, aside from sleep. Okay, so a 3-day fast every full moon. For those listening to this currently, the next full moon will be on the 24th of March. Okay, so how you plan for this is you go to a website. You go to timeanddate.com, timeanddate.com. Type in your city, have a look at the moon phase. It will tell you the precise moment that the moon becomes full. All right? The moon is only full for a very brief moment. Before that, leading up to the fullness, it goes 99%, 100, and then it goes from 100 to 99. Okay, it begins to wane. If you're doing a 24-hour fast, maybe you're a beginner and you want to do a full moon fast, then you fast 12 hours before and after that 100% point. If you're doing a 48-hour fast, which, by the way, even beginners can do. Okay, I've literally coached thousands of people through fasting at this point. I'm telling you, if it's your brand new first time, you can do a 48-hour fast, no problem. But again, it's up to you. If you're doing a 48, you do 24 hours before and after when the moon is 100%. And if you're doing 72, well, congratulations, you're now in the big leagues. Do it however you like, okay? So 3-day fast with the full moon to stop parasites in their tracks and to keep your body healthy, right? Most people never take breaks. Imagine if you had a car and you never, ever, ever turn the engine off. That is most people's digestive systems. They never give them a break. People in the West, the majority of them, will be born and die without ever going 24 hours without food, minus emergency scenarios. Okay, they never do it of their own volition, maybe through illness if they're really sick. Okay? That's crazy. They never give their body a break. Don't be like them. Okay? So, me personally, I like to do a 3-day fast with every full moon. And if I'm feeling I need a little bit more than that, that's pretty good. But if you need a little bit more than that, I like to fast one day out of the week, typically a Monday or a Thursday. It just fits right. It's not too invasive with your schedule, and that will keep you in tremendous shape. It will keep your insides clean and healthy. It will absorb cancer. Okay, because by the way, your body is constantly producing cancer. I hate to break it to you, but you're also constantly stopping it in its tracks. You're constantly fighting it. So whenever you fast, because you've got no food, your body eats the fat stores, and it also eats those yucky, imperfect free radicals, those cells that aren't ideal to be within your environment. Okay? So fasting is one of the healthiest things you can do. And again, if your goal is to put on muscle, to put on weight, and then it's not conducive, don't do the week thing. Just do it 3 days out of the month. That's fine. Okay. So to summarize, everything can be placed on the scale of acidity and alkaline. All right? There is no good or bad. There is only closer or further away from your goals and from your intent. So the question to ask yourself to find the superior diet for you at that current phase of your life is, what energy do I want to embody? If you want to be more warrior-like, more earthly, more grounded, then eat more acidic. That means more meats. If you want to be of a higher vibrational frequency, okay, because that's just the case, it's how it works. If you want to be more serene, more peaceful, perhaps, then eating toward an alkaline preference is going to be the diet for you. Okay? But in general, you're not going to want to be extreme on either end, and it's a lot of work to be extreme. You're probably going to want to be somewhere in the middle. But this information allows you to make that conscious, informed decision about how the things you are consuming are affecting you on a cellular, energetic level. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a treatise on diet. I thank you all for joining, and I will see you all next time.